At 130 years, they're still making children.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the area where Meshnikov did his research. Yeah.
That's right. Good. Yips. It was because of that he worked on the theory that these people, they ate everything natural, and that the other thing that they did is that they ate a lot of fermented foods.
Yes. Sauerkraut and stuff.
Yes. And so he took samples of that and he came back, and out of that came a company called Garden of Life.
Yes. Probiotics.
That makes the best probiotics in the world up to now. All right? The Rolls-Royce of probiotics.
Yes.
Right? Because they have probiotics for the gut, about 3 different strains to start. They have probiotics for the vagina, they have probiotics for the prostate. They sell it because each particular type of bacteria goes to a particular area.
Yes.
Right? Let me give you an idea. You take up you eat in and you get sick and you take an antibiotic. You take the antibiotic and the antibiotic stop whatsoever illness you had. Was it an inflammation or something? Which might have been wrong in the first place. The inflammation or a boil under your arm is the body trying to push out toxins out of your body. So if you stop that, it means it's probably still there. You just put it in abeyance. So you say, all right. So you stop that. Everything good. You kill out your gut bacteria. When you kill out your gut bacteria, the yeast, which didn't die, because yeast products don't fungal products don't normally kill fungus.
Okay.
Right? So the penicillin will kill the ordinary bacteria, but it wouldn't kill the yeast. You begin to understand the connection? So the yeast begin to propagate. Now the yeast begin to propagate, and it's a fungus, but it have a partner. You know, it's always have a partner. Well, I'm killing all your partners and them, but I ain't killing you. It's called the Clostridium bacteria. So the yeast expanding, and the Clostridium, because he's good partners with the yeast, he expanding too. The only thing about the Clostridium bacteria is that whereas the yeast like to eat sugar, the Clostridium like to eat iron.
Okay.
Crazy combination, eh?
Yes.
Crazy symbiosis. So you have a woman and she has some little infection and they give her antibiotics, and after that the yeast start to take over. The yeast start to take over and the Clostridium run with it. They normally run together. So after about 2 or 3 years, and now every time she period come in, she on war with everybody. When she come home in the evening, the first thing she dive in for is the ice cream and cake in the fridge and anything sweet, all the juices and everything. She craving that, or at least the fungus making her crave that. There's Jackie and do their own communication. They don't wait for you to think it. And the Clostridium there, and the Clostridium eating up all the iron. So after 2 years, what you have is a yeast-ridden person with anemia.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And she goes to the doctor, and the doctor look at her tongue, and he says, oh, you're anemic. Right? Send for a blood test, and the blood test say, yeah, red blood cell count down and all that, she's anemic. So he gives her iron. Normal. Iron is build blood.
Yeah.
When she takes the iron, nothing happens. Because when she take the iron and it hit the gut, the Clostridium say, yeah, tell the fungus partner, he say, we running boy, you eating up sugar, you getting sugar, I getting iron. Right? So she goes back to the doctor and nothing happens. She's still anemic, and she having problems with her periods and all kind of thing. So you give her more iron. You give her more iron and she take it, and the Clostridium say, hey, that big party down inside there now. So he says, well, I don't know, let me send you to the blood specialist. So she goes to the blood specialist, he looks at her, he sees she's anemic, and what does he give her? more iron.
Yeah.
So I've had patients come by me and they've gone to 2 or 3 doctors and each one of them has prescribed iron. So they're taking 3 sets of iron because nobody asks what the other person give them, right? And when you're taking plenty iron like that, it start to poison your liver, right? So now you have, besides the anemia, you have liver poisoning, you have rampant growth of fungus with all the attendant problems. So she now started to get polycystic ovaries, and because her blood is anemic, her immune system gone down to nothing, so she began to get all kinds of other problems.
And they start to feel tired.
And that long time.
Yeah.
They could scarcely drag themselves. They're irritable. Just before their periods, they're crying and they're kicking up and they're carrying on. On top of that, she ain't eating much, but she bloating up. Every time she eat, she belly swell up big, she bloating, right? She might have bouts of constipation and all sorts of things. And you begin to understand that you have a whole crazy thing going on. Now, if you're a man, your prostate swelling, right? When your prostate swollen, you get up one night and you can't pee and they will stick up thing inside there. Give something to relax the muscles a little bit in the prostate to help you to pee. And they're waiting to get to a point where they could go in there and take out the prostate. They cut it out, right? So I had a guy come to me and he says, 7 years ago, they cut out my prostate, they take it out. And the doctor told me I will have no more worries for swollen prostate, right? He said, 2 weeks ago, I went to the doctor and tell him I can't pee. Show him a thing and show him that they take out my prostate. He said, well, I don't understand how you can't pee. Let me send you for an ultrasound. When he sent him for ultrasound, his prostate swollen. He said, so the doctor said, I never hear that, the prostate grow back. He said, there's a new one, the prostate grow back. So he back on the same thing. So what do they want to do? They want to take it out. So what we do is we have panaceas for everything. If a woman have polycystic ovaries and they're small, the doctors tell her, it's all right, it's small. We'll watch it and see. You would never say, take some Lugal iodine, a few drops in a glass of water, because 90% of the time it would shut down those small things because it is antifungal. If you're really smart, he'd say, and eat some garlic if you could do it. 4 or 5 cloves of garlic every day. You know, which would get rid of the fungus in your intestines. And as it bothers it would probably, that and the iodine, you probably get, over a few months, you'll get rid of it in your whole uterine system.
Get rid of the fungus will also attack the deficit clostridium.
Well, they're kind of symbiotic, so, you know, one leave, the other one tends to go to. Right? So, on top of that, you lose your craving for sugar, your head clear up, your energy level come up, your weight start to disappear. Now when you go back the next time, the polycystic ovaries disappear. Now, if you have polycystic ovaries, and you go to the doctor, he says, let's watch it and see what will happen. And you say, okay, you could use iodine, and the iodine will shut it down. What is also, you have to note, is that if you have polycystic ovaries because of yeast, the chances are, and you don't have any iodine, if you have no iodine in the breast, the chances are that in your breast, right, you're going to start getting fibrous breasts. So you check it, have lumps, but it's not round lumps, sometimes it's long lumps against the muscle. Now once you start having muscle with lumps in it, you know, give it a few years, it will change into a tumor growth, and then the next thing is you have cancer. So you see, that could be slowed down if you gave the person adequate amount of iron, adequate amount of iodine. The other thing about it is that if you have a person and they have problems with blood count, one of the best things to give them is chlorophyll.
Okay. Chlorophyll is not the same thing that...
Chlorophyll is when you take a leaf and you squeeze out the green stuff. Right? And the best chlorophyll to give them is chlorophyll from the pawpaw leaf. That's a gift from the Australian Aborigines. Why? Because when you take that in, that has a magnesium for mineral. If the liver take that magnesium out and put iron in, you have blood.
Okay.
So the liquid in the plant is the same as blood in a human being, just with one difference. One is using iron and the other one is using magnesium. One has the ability to absorb light and take it and make food, and the other one has the ability to absorb light and take it and make D3, which is like a steroid for the body, for your immune system.
Okay.
But you never hear that kind of contrast. You know?
But the fact is that it works.
It works. Now, I remember when the dengue started, I am a prolific reader. So I came upon an article where they said that one of the things about it, that this thing that stick down the platelets in the blood like nothing. So one of the things that you have to worry about is that the person don't collapse because the blood, they go on really badly anemic very quickly. And they say that in Australia, they use the old Aborigine cure, which is to go and pick up a pawpaw leaf, pound it, squeeze it out, fresh, and drink a teaspoon of that. Or if you bake a tablespoon. And within a few days, your blood count come back up, your dengue disappear, and you're back to normal. So I gave it out. As I do, I went on the show and I said, hey, you have dengue, do this. Said it a couple of times, and then it started to ring because plenty of people had dengue. So I have a partner, and one day we go driving. He said, we're doing Sunday. He said, I'm going to drive. So I went down by him, and then from there, we drive down the Freeport Road. He said, come, I'm carrying you by the Temple in the Sea. So I said, oh, Temple in the Sea. I said, oh, I hear about it. So we driving down the road, and I tell him, I say, you know, when I was young, a little chick I used to check out in this neighborhood here, you know. You know, so we laughing and thing. So he said this temple had this old guy who started building it for himself. I say, oh. I say, what was his name? And he tell me. So I start to laugh. He said, you're laughing at? I said, boy, I used to walk down the road from where she living and come by the sea. And one day I coming down the road and I meet this old guy coming down the road. He had a bike. And he had two, what they used to call panniers, you know, two things. And it was full with stone. So, he come down, he stopped by the sea and he started taking the stone. I said, what are you doing, partner? He said, the mother tell me how to build a temple in the sea. So, we sit down and we talk a little bit. I said, that's one big task, boy. He said, yeah, but when the mother tell you to do something, you have to do it. I said, you ready for it? He said, well, look, I have a little thing inside there ready, and you already build a thing, and you put a flag up, So we talk and laugh and thing, and I said, all right, I'm going up the road. So anyhow, we drive in the yard with the temple. I say, shucks, you really get the temple built, boy. So as I reach, the guy who running the temple come outside. He say, doctor, you going? He said, I'm glad to see you. Come, I'm going to give you a tour around. He said, let me tell you something. He said, you save a whole heap of people's life in this area, I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when we had dengue, he said, nobody didn't go to the doctor. He said, we just have pawpaw tree all about, so we pong it, and we follow your advice not to boil it and make tea, but to squeeze out the juice and drink it raw and bitter, where you have full potency. He said, we didn't have a single problem. I said, well, that is nice to know. He said, so that warrants that you get a personal tour. So we're going wrong, and I start telling him about this guy. He said, that is the guy who built the temple. I said, so he really succeeded in doing it in truth. He said, well, after he died, they gradually got together and formed a committee. And he carried me around and he showed me all the gods and goddesses, the statues, and I paid me a little obeisance. I'm not a Hindu, but everybody have their gods, and you have to respect the gods. You know what I mean? So you begin to understand that whenever you have problems, you have to find the solution somewhere. And I have a way of life. I say, if something is wrong and you want an answer for what to do, the universe will give you the answer.
Yes.
That's my firm belief. And the answer does come. You pick up a book somewhere and you're reading and you see a little sentence and you say, wait now, you know that's that. Or you might see a reference to something and you go and you get another book, and then when you get a book, it have a whole set of notes on it.
Okay.
You know, I read an article in the magazine about this woman and how good her book on nutrition was, and I buy it and find a whole heap of thing about prostate in it,
Yes.
and what was causing the prostate and the aromatics and all that. All the information was there. I couldn't find it anywhere else.
All right. So we start off,
So
exploring this prostate problem. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm showing you that the prostate problem and the problem with the uterus and the ovaries is the same problem. It's the same thing that we eat in. And I can tell you something. We will talk about it and everybody will say, boy, that was an interesting story. It have people outside there who will take notes. It have people outside there who would copy the program. How much people will say, I'm going to try and change what I'm doing? How many will sit down and say, listen now, you know, it is we have a little family here. And we have a piece of land in the back there. Let me dig it up now and plant some tomato and some cabbage and things like that. And get some organic pesticides and things, because it have people now selling organic pesticides here. Get some non-GMO seeds and start planting it.
Yeah, well, and people rather say, I want to eat. You know,
Waga eat.
want to eat. That's all it has.
Oh, jeez, boy. You know,
A lot of people, if they can't go to the grocery and buy it, they're too interested.
it has some people tell you, I don't buy my vegetables in the market. I don't go there. That place is dirty. You know, I buy it in the grocery. I say, buy it in the grocery nearly twice the price of what you're going to pay for it in the market.
Wrapped in plastic.
Wrapped in plastic. At least in the market, you might have a broad cross-section of choice.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you find a little old lady, a little old guy in the back who have a little place and struggling.
Yeah.
And when you pick up the cabbage have hole in it
Yeah.
because it have worms, because he didn't have no money to spray it.
Yeah. And
I love that. I buy in that because I'll go home and I'll make a little cut and I'll take out the hole. But I make friends with the worm, especially if I cut it and the worm's still inside there eating. Because if he eating,
that means
he
good.
plenty more sensitive than me.
Yeah. He know what to.
Right? Long time he ain't touched that. He gone. Right? It's strange how animals have a better sense of food. You know? Because it don't make any sense to telling a person, you can't put fluoride toothpaste in your mouth. You're poisoning yourself. You go to the grocery and you buy hydrogenated oil. You're paying the grocery to kill you. And not to kill you gently, because it probably lead to diabetes. It will lead to getting fat. It will lead to fat in the heart and probably heart attack. It will help to make plaque in your brain and lead to Alzheimer's.
Yeah. A lot of the things that we consume, that we eat, that we buy in the grocery.
And pay plenty money for.
Yeah, it's guaranteeing that we're going to end up in a hospital somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I was saying is that the prostate, you have that. So when you have the prostate and your prostate swelling, one of the things that they found is that if you're eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables, the prostate doesn't swell. Why? Because there's something in the cruciferous vegetables that shuts down the effect of the aromatase.
Okay, so that's cruciferous, which is like cabbage.
Yeah, cauliflower, broccoli, kale,
Yeah.
all right? Arugula, all of them.
Yeah.
So science being what it was, they take the cruciferous vegetables and they analyze it and they come out with a thing called diindiol methane, DIM.
Okay.
So if you have a swollen prostate and you want to think, you take your ordinary prostate medicine that have sopalmeto, stinging nettle and all pumpkin seed and all them kind of things, and bee pollen and all them things. All these things which are known to help fight the aromatase. And you put the dim with it, the dim will will neutralize the aromatase so that it cannot change your testosterone into dihydrotestosterone and estrogen. So your testosterone level begins to come back up. But it has a drawback, and the drawback is that it tends to slow down the thyroid. So what you have to do when you take the dim is you have to go and take iodine.
Okay. So the dim is a concentrated form of the chemicals.
Yes, right. So you say, well, if you're a person that has eat plenty of vegetables, then go and buy your cauliflower and your broccoli and all that. Cut it up, soak it in bicarbonate of soda, wash it, dry it, put it in a bag, put it in the fridge, and use it within the next 3 or 4 days. You know, that way you minimize the amount of stuff. And that goes for women too.
Yes.
Because
the same
yes,
process
right,
that occurs in the prostate will occur in the breast.
and sometimes even worse, because in the uterus and the ovaries, you have more space, more heat, more sugar and more things inside there.
And then the estrogen as well.
Yes, and then the estrogen. And when a woman's estrogen cycle is coming to an end, the estrogen goes up. So the yeast gives plenty trouble. That's why people who have yeast, a week before their periods, they get a little discharge, a little white discharge, and they get angry. Or they sit down in a corner and cry. And then when the period comes, it's heavy, and it have plenty clots, and it have plenty pain. And they act erratic. You almost think like they're kind of crazy.
Yes.
You understand?
I understand. Yes.
So now you find out that they can take dim. Now, listen to the other thing. When you have breast cancer and you get your treatment for breast cancer, and the doctor wants you probably not to get it back, they give you chemo called Arimidex.
Arimidex.
What does the Arimidex do? It inhibits the aromatase. So they know the connection. You understand? But I say that doesn't come out. That stays inside the inner files of the company. So one of the things that a person can now do when they finish the breast cancer operation is to go and buy DIM, diindiol methane, which will do the same thing as the Arimidex without it being poisonous. And take some extra iodine, which will help in any case, because extra iodine in your uterus and will attack the fungus and minimize that. So that's a double better than the Arimidex, right?
So like you're seeing more and more that the diet of yesteryear, or the diet that we used to follow,
Let's call it the God diet.
yeah, had tremendous health benefits, as opposed to the modern fast food processed meats that you see people consuming on a daily basis.
Listen, they had a guy called Dr. Pottinger back in the 1930s. He was a dentist, but he embarked on a world tour dealing with teeth. And after going all around the world, he found that some of the people that have the best teeth was the black people who lived on the sugarcane farm in the southern states. They almost never used to have any cavities in the mouth. And they almost never used to have any cavities in the mouth because they used to chew sugarcane. And in the sugarcane, they have several things inside it that help to preserve. So even though it had sugar, God make it, he also makes something to protect the teeth from sugar inside the sugarcane. Right?
That was a pastime.
Now, the people in Standard Processors make a lot of natural medicine. Raymond Lee said that when they looked at it, they realized that the sugarcane also had a factor in it, and he called it the anti-stiffness factor. Right? And he found that in certain bile products of the cow. So he now went looking to see what he could do to get anti-stiffness factor what it could do to get anti-stiffness factor, and they found the anti-stiffness factor in sugarcane. I said, and he there thinking, well, he can't process all this sugarcane to get anti-stiffness factor. So he said one day a partner invite him down to go to a rum distillery. So he going in and he watch the guys and them, they're making rum, they pour in the molasses and thing into the thing, and they set up the fermentation and all that, and they carry him through it. And at the end, the guy says, well, you know, now we have the rum finally distilled, and what we do is we pull off the bottom where all the sediment and thing is, and we throw it away. You see, that sediment is from the sugar cane? He says, yes. From the molasses? We say, wait, that might be what I'm looking for. So he tell the guy, so I could take some? The guy say, yeah, you give him a bag with a few pounds of it. And he went to the lab, and sure enough, it had anti-stiffness factor. So he went back to them, and he buy all the anti-stiffness, all the residue. He get the anti-stiffness factor, which he now puts in his pills for keeping the joints free.